Yes, my ladies and gentlemen, my name is Robert Valdén and I come from Malmö University. I am PhD and teacher educator there, and I have been given the honor to share this session. I will soon present the invited speaker to you, and that session will be 30 minutes presentations and then 10 minutes of questions and answers. After that, there will be individual presentations, which are 15 minutes, with 5 minutes of question and answer. But now I have the honor to present Dr. Ariyadi Wijaya from Universitas SEADR. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Robert. Hello everyone. I would like to share my work, part of my work actually. This work is supported by Australian agency in collaboration with the Indonesian government. So, yeah, as you can see, it's about learning trajectory, but from curricular perspective, so it's quite broad. First, I would like to share the background of the study. It's because SDGs, Sustainable Developmental Goals. The fourth goal is about quality of education. And if we take a look at the indicator, it's about minimum proficiency level in mathematics and also in reading. So, after having a quite heavy discussion with the Indonesian government, Puspendit, and also some officer from Puskurgo, we discussed about how we can supply the data to measure the achievement of the fourth goal of SDGs for Indonesia. So, if we look at this table, it's provided by UNESCO here. There are several levels measured here, the grade 2 or grade 3, 4, and 6, and 8 or 9. So, primary and secondary level. And then we can see that in the second column is about descriptor, but the third and the fourth, it's about the sources of the data. How we can measure the achievement of these three levels. For example, for grade 4, the achievement of students in particular countries can be seen from the result of submit, TIMSS, and also PISA for higher level of degrees. So, discussing this level of SDGs, Puspendit's concerns that we need to supply data. So, how we can supply the data? That is, Indonesia so far participating in the grade 4 for the TIMSS and grade 9 and 10 for the PISA. It means that we do not have data for grade 2 or 3, grade 6, and grade 8. So, the government wants to have kind of measurement or assessment program to measure every level of students' achievement. So far, Indonesia has developed several assessment programs. Indonesian National Assessment Programs. It's kind of adaptation of TIMSS study. And nowadays, they change or replace the INAP program with AKSI, Assessment Competency Siswa Indonesia. The assessment of Indonesian students' competencies. But again, so far, the focus of INAP and AKSI is quite similar to TIMSS. It means that grade 4 and grade grade 8. Sorry. Actually, since I think 2 years ago, the government has been developing AKSI program for senior high school level until grade 12. But again, we still have quite heavy discussion about it. So, go back to this background of the study. Again, it's about achievement. How we can measure the achievement of SDGs, the fourth SDG. And if we move backward, before we have achievement, of course, we have the classroom. We have the teaching and learning practices. How teachers teach the content or the subject matter. But let's move backward again. Mostly, what teachers teach in the classroom, or the sources is the textbook, or the IEA found it as potentially implemented curriculums. And then move backward. Forward here. Finally, we have the intended curriculum, which is developed by the government here. So, if we talk about achievement, if we would like to improve student achievement, it means that we need to go to the sources, the main sources, the curriculums. So, yeah, the importance of curriculums. In 2016, I worked with Kuspendi again to analyze the TIMSS data for Indonesia, TIMSS 2015. The government Kuspendi said that please write a report, a short report. Don't write a thick report, but the content is powerful. So I analyzed the data of TIMSS 2015 for overall score, for the questionnaire, and etc. And if we compare Indonesian result with, let's say, Singaporean students, many people will say it's not fair, it's different. Singapore is a small country, Indonesia is a large country, so a lot of differences. And then the performance level is quite, yeah, there is a big jump. Top level and not public. So I decided to compare 5 lower performing countries. Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Jordania, and South Africa. Among these 5 countries, Indonesia is the best. So, yeah, we are happy that among these 5 countries, we are the best, the first on the rank. But we can see the graph here. The graph represents the performance of Indonesian students on fraction. Although the overall score, Indonesia is the highest among these 5 countries, but for fraction, Indonesia was the lowest. It's strange that we are the best overall score among these 5 countries, but for the fraction, frankly speaking, we are the worst. We are the lowest. That's why I try to find explanation for this low achievement. So I read another data because TIMSS does not only provide data about student achievement but also about teachers questionnaire, student questionnaire, principal questionnaire, and many others data. So I decided to see the curriculum here. And then what I found, next. TIMSS is for grade 4. It means that the content is from grade 1 up to grade 3 because at the beginning of grade 4. So I analyzed the curriculum for grade 3 for the 3rd grade primary school level. What I found is for Indonesia we put so much attention on operation. We introduce operation quite early before students really grab the understanding of the conceptual mathematics idea. So that's what I see, that comparing Indonesian curriculum and other curricula, we have a quite large portion of operation of fraction in grade 3. And then I try to see generally. Previously only among 5 countries, but now I, in this case, included the data from many other countries. The horizontal here represents the differences between the portion of concept and operation of fraction. Let's say, for example, there are 8 topics for the concept and 5 topics for the operation. It means that 8 minus 5, that's the easiest way to say the horizontal axis. So the differences between the proportion of concept and operation of fraction in the 3rd grade. And then the vertical axis, it represents the achievement. We can see here, the larger difference between concept and operation, the greater or the higher is the achievement of students. It means that if we give more portion on concept of fraction, it will give a better result. Of course, please neglect the Singapore. It's interesting because, yeah, we can see here it's really applied. That's why I neglected Singapore. Back to the main reason here, curriculums does matter. That if we want to improve the student achievement, we need to consider the curriculum. So that's the background of the study. And then what's next? Our team discussed that, okay, so one of the possible things to do is revisit the curriculum. To see the learning trajectories, how the learning continuums of Indonesian curriculum is developed. Because there are many possible learning continuum here. And then we need to find a better way, the best way as possible, how we can develop the staircase, the stages of learning trajectory for the curriculum. That we can help students to achieve the goal of the education, but still not too high. The gap between the Indonesian students' performance or basic competencies and the targeted goals. So the aim of our study here is simple, just to describe how the learning trajectories of number. In this presentation, I only focus on the number, but in general, the whole project offers the whole curriculum from grade 1 to grade 10. Sorry, grade 10, not 12, but 10. So, in this presentation, only about the number. And then the second one, after we identify, after we revisit the curriculums, how we can improve, if it's needed, the trajectory of the curriculums. And then, talking about learning trajectory, yeah, of course, we have its spouse, partner is design research. But many design research studies focus on a particular concept. Let's say the Arthur Baker study, it's about statistics, about mean, median, and mode. Michael Dharma is about calculus, and I did research on linear measurement, really small topic. Cici Wanita did her research on alignment, so really small topic. And if we search on Google or Indonesian journals, many other research studies on design research which only focus on small particular topic. So let's revisit what learning trajectory is. If you read the work of Lobato and Walters, they said that there are 7 approaches to learning trajectory. The first one is to focus in cognitive levels. The second approach is levels of discourse. The third one, sales and operation, and I think one of the most famous LT for Indonesian is HLT, the fourth approach, hypothetical learning trajectory. The fifth is about collective mathematical practices. The sixth is clear, it's about curriculum, and lastly it's about strategies and behavior. Let's visit one by one. Here is the differences among these 7 approaches to learning trajectories. The first one, the focus of the trajectory is how we develop the ways of thinking, the cognitive process, the cognitive ability. So really the ways of thinking. For the second one, discourse, of course, about communication. How students' communication skills develop from lower level to higher level. In this case, we can visit Tolmin's work about argument, about backup, warrant, and fakta. The third one is about themes and operations. It's mostly about psychological perspective. How students can adjust to their themes. Assimilation, like many other works in psychology. It's about this. The fourth one, you already know, I suppose, it's about HRT. Simon said that it consists of 3 components: learning goals, learning activities, and predictive student response. The interesting thing of the HLT in comparison to the previous three approaches that the HLT approach includes instructional support, whereas the first three only focus on the student's development, the cognitive, the discourse, and also the psychological aspect. The fifth here describe the progress of community for the whole class. Like Grafenmeyer, he used the term take and share, right? It's about community. How the concept is not only, it does not only belong to individual students, but also belong to the whole community. That's why there are several studies focusing on how the concept is shared among students, how the community, the classroom develop the concept. The sixth, this is what I'm doing right now. The approach is from a broader level, not a micro level, particular topic, but a broader level, because across years, we can see a particular domain, let's say in mathematics can be geometry, algebra, number, statistics, but we see the progress from year to year. That's why it's about curriculums. How the coherencies of the curriculum's content. What is the relation between the content of a particular grade with the content of the next grade? Or some people call it as learning continuum. It will be more famous for us. And the last approach is observable strategies and behavior. This is the interesting one. That the focus is the action, not the mental conception. It's really different because it focuses on how the strategies develop. Let's say we talk about Brunner. First about enactive, we use psychomotor approach, and then we use symbolic, we use icon, iconic pictures, drawing, and at the end, student can use the mathematical symbol. It's an example of how the development of strategies is used by students. So there are 7 approaches, not only HLT. And then now my focus on the 6th approach. About the method, I would say that it's kind of a mixed method. Because first, we did content analysis. We analyzed the curriculums, we see the differences, the similarities between Indonesian curriculum and any other curricula from other countries. The first exploration, we included the curricula of Indonesia, USA, Singapore, and Australia. For the USA, we use, you might already know, the Common Core State Standard, because, US is a collection of states. But after early exploration, we decided to include only the Indonesian and the USA curriculum. And then the next approach is design research, but I call it as semi-design research. This one button is okay. Because the original design research is our experiment, and then in this case I changed it to content analysis. And then from the third experiment, we move to instructional experiment in the classroom. But in my case, it's about developing learning trajectory over years. So if we want to implement the trajectory, first we need to convince the government to change the sequence of the topic. That first, that's a big task. The second one, we need to wait for years to see how the development or the achievement of our program. That's why we change it to FGD with experts. The expert here, we invited expert from Australia. He's a former director of ACARA, Australian Curriculum Assessment, something like that. So like the combination of Puspendit and Puskurbuk in Indonesia. So we invited him to give us his opinion about the development. We also invited higher level officer from Puskurbuk, the curriculum central in Indonesia, from Puspendit, and also teachers, of course. So that's why we did not not have any instructional experiment, but instead we have the focus group discussion and expo. And then move back the cycle here. This next. And then of course, after we have the content analysis, we communicated the general overview of our ideas, and then we design the learning trajectory, include literature review, etc. And then next, another FGD. About literature review here, I would like to share what we did. We did not only compare curriculum, but we also look at many research studies thoroughly. For example, what is the best time to introduce negative number? So we see scientific proof, scientific evidences. And then we found that 11 years old is fine to introduce negative numbers. It means that, okay, primary school student can start learning negative numbers. So that's why we consider that finding of the literature review to develop our framework. And then next. Yeah, finally we call it as numeracy framework. We hope that the framework can be used as kind of feedback for the, I do not know, revision of the curriculum if it's possible, or at least for developing the framework for AXI, Assessment Competency Indonesia, because that's why we are working with the spending. That's next. This is what we found. In the early exploration, we studied Singaporean curriculums, Australian curriculum, common course standard. We found that for Singapore, it's too quick for us. Grade 1 student already learned multiplication within 40. So we decided that, okay, it's too early. For grade 1, it's enough to learn about addition and subtraction. The multiplication can be in grade 2 or in grade 3. That's why, after analyzing the curriculums, not only about the numbers, but also algebra, we decided to, okay, no, we will not include the Singaporean curriculum. How about the Australian curriculum? We found that the other way around, it's too slow. Multiple and factors in grade 5. Now, we need it earlier because we need to have equivalent fractions. Fraction with common denominator. So, no, we will not use the Australian curriculum. And then lastly, we see the common core standard. And then we see that, okay, it's because if we use the Singapore, it's too drastic. The change is too big from the current curriculums. And then if we use Australian curriculum, we are afraid that many people will say that, okay, we move backward then. So we found many similarities between Indonesia and the USA. Although in terms of international assessment, USA is not top performing country. Okay, next. This is some differences we found. In CCSS, there are clear description about the subdomain of number, counting and representation and operation. In Indonesia, no. Okay, it's only technical problems. But the interesting is the second point here. In Indonesia, the limitation of the number is mainly on the place value. Grade 1 up to 99. Grade 2 just add one more digit, 999, and etc. But for the US here, in kindergarten, students already learn the numbers up to 31. The number looks strange here. Why 31? And then we analyze it. That it's mostly about consistency of the numbers. If we talk about the number between 10 and 20, the units mentioned first, 14, 15, 16. It might be confusing for students because we speak the 6 first, but we write the 1 first. And then when we move to the 20, we say the tens first, 21, 22. It's more logical. But we need another pattern here. Finally, it's extended until 31. So it's not only about the place value, but about representation. How students write the numbers, the symbol of numbers. And then factorization. For grade 1, in America, the student learn up to 120. Again, it's quite interesting, the number. But we try to analyze, it's also not only about the place value, but also about the factorization. It has factor of 2, 3, 4, 6, it's quite many. So, this is our finding. Next. The third one is also interesting. In Indonesian curriculum, I call it as content-related competencies. This is my own methodology. Let's see example of the competencies. Explain and perform addition and subtraction. But in the US, no, it's focused on skill-related competencies. Because the focus is use a variety of models and strategies. So the emphasis is on the model and strategies. In Indonesia, the focus is on the mathematics concept. But it applies only for the lower grades. So there are differences between Indonesia and the US standard. The last point I would like to share is a clear distinction between knowledge and skills in Indonesian curriculums, but not. No, sorry. There is no clear distinction between the things. So this is the result of content analysis. Now the result of how we develop the framework. Now I think it's my turn to go here. Let's open another file. Thank you very much. Yeah. So we develop the framework here. Sorry, I need to see. From grade 1 to grade 10, sorry. And then we use several subdomains here, counting and representation, comparing and ordering, and then operation. There are, of course, many similar aspects with the Indonesian curriculums. Here's the difference. A difference, because there are other differences. This is an example. I will read it. It's about quadratic numbers. In Indonesian curriculum, it's officially introduced in grade 5. But we decided to introduce it in grade 4 because students already learn about area. So not the formal notion of quadratic number, but more about area's approach. This is what we changed. And then here, the D column, we try to improve, to give more attention on the relation between concepts. Because when we read the curriculum of Indonesia, it mostly, okay, addition, this is subtraction. But there is no clear emphasis on the relation between the addition and subtraction. That's why we change it. Here's again another change we made. Performing addition and subtraction of negative numbers, negative integers. In Indonesia, in grade 6, students already learn all operation of negative numbers. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But here we split into 2 grades. For addition and subtraction in grade 6, and then the multiplication in grade 7. And then here in the fraction, in Indonesian curriculum it includes 1/3. But in reality, it's not easy to divide an object into 3 parts equally. Mostly only half, 4, 8, etc. That's why here we propose to delete the 1/3. Just a half and quarter, because it's for early grade, for grade 2. And then, yeah, there are many other revision or proposal we have. That is, example is about fraction. We add several competencies. We split several topics. Previously, let's say, in the Indonesian curriculum only in 1 grade, and then in our revised framework it's split into 2. But I'm so sorry, but I'm short, so back to the chapters. Thank you.
Ariyadi Wijaya for a very engaging and interesting presentation. Let's give a round of applause. And now we do have time for the questions and answers here. So, please.
Nice presentation, and we feel the cases within the desk in the office. I mean, that's what is going on there. The question that I'm going to ask, maybe from the last curriculum, what framework did the team use to justify the sequence of the content of normative power from grade 1 to 10? Is there any problem with that? The second one, so after this, we wonder that how to further research so we can make judgment that this one is better than previous. I mean, your proposal to the government that we are going to do. Because so far, Indonesia has done many things, especially about curriculums, but when it goes to the teachers and to the classroom, it's all over. We think that point should be also considered.
Thank you, Juan, for the interesting questions. For the first one about the Indonesian curriculums, the current Indonesian curriculum. Actually, comparing to the let's say the first release 2013 curriculums, the revised version is much better. Because in the first release curriculums, there are several, I think it's not so good flow of the curriculum. Let's say, in junior high school, semester 2, the topic is about quadrilateral. There are problems about angles. A given rectangle, one of the angle of one here, let's say this is the angle is 30 degree, and then this is 2x plus 40 degree. What is the value of x? That is 7th grade, semester 2. At that time, students haven't learned about algebra, about linear equation with one triangle. And then in the 8th grade, semester 1, the student learn about the linear equation with one triangle. But the algebraic forms, bentuk algebra, is given in the second semester. So there are several inconsistencies. So in terms of that progress, the latest version is it's good. At least from my own perspective, because it's really hard work to develop curriculum, and I totally agree about that. So I think the latest one is not so big problem. But the problem is how we adjust with the other curriculums, the other requirements, such as in teams. What are the competencies that need to be achieved by student in grade 4? So we need adjustment to that. But for the second questions, I cannot answer. Because our goal is not to give a better curriculum. No. It's just another consideration. That is, during this work, we did the review across domain. Let's say number is not a standalone domain because geometry also needs numbers, algebra needs numbers. So we try to see the map, but we still miss some several important aspects. We did not compare with other subjects, with physics, with chemistry, with biology. Biology I think is only probably. So that's our difficulty. But back to your question about which is better, no, that's not our intention. We just would like to share our point of view about the flow of the topic. Because in our perspective, the current curriculum gives so much load to students. We can see that in primary school level, students already learn about mean, median, and mode. And then it's repeated again in the junior high school level. In primary school level, grade 4, grade 5, students learn all operation of fractions. But they have to learn so many things. At the end, they do not fully accomplish the goal of the curriculum. And then in the junior high school level, because there are too heavy load in the previous level, the student do not understand the concept, the teacher repeat again what should be taught in primary school level. And then at the end, I only have 2 meetings left, but what I did so far only repeating the primary school topic. So it's kind of look, it's not a good look. That's why we propose to distribute the load of students' work. Because giving too much load in the early grade, I think it does not help students in the higher grade. So that's about redistribution. So it's not about better or not, because we do not know how to test it. Because the government has not implemented our work. So yeah, that's yes. Yes. No. Sorry.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's a very important study that you've done, and it's very systematical and very critical. And I'm particularly very interested in what you said about content-related competences and skill-related competences, because it's really remind me that the 21st century skills, that it's not about what we know, but what we do with it. And so it's more related to the skill-related competences. So, based on your findings, what would you suggest to Indonesian curriculum? Is there any plans or ideas to move forward to this skill competence curriculum instead of content related? Sorry, skill related instead of content related competences, or how? So what is in there?
Yeah, I think it's about pros and cons. There are benefits and, of course, disadvantages. What I say from the danger of having content-related competencies for lower grade, sometimes teachers will focus only on the mathematics concept, the abstract level. And then many of them want to prove it, just use the shortest way, the easiest way to the students. So, at the end, what students achieve is just, conceptual understanding. Perhaps they memorize it, rote memorization. But if we focus on the skill-related competencies, we explore the strategies. And then, it's not about the content, it's not about the destination, but it's about the journey. Because as an adventurer, we know that it's not about the destination, but about the journey. So here, if we emphasize on this, so we really develop mathematical skills, mathematical thinking, not mathematical knowledge. And then if we develop it in a good way, we can use near transfer and far transfer. The students can adapt their mathematical thinking developed in primary school level to cope with problems in secondary school level. So actually, for lower grade, to me, my preference is having this skill-related competence. Because when we have this kind of sentences, the teacher will be more explorative to see possible strategies, possible ways to deliver the concept, instead of only giving a short route to the concept. Okay, I think that's it. I think the time is up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.